Shimano has dominated the road bike market with its group sets for decades, but right now they are under serious pressure. Dura-Ace Di2 is now 5 years old, and in that time, SRAM and Campag have completely changed the game. So, how does the world's biggest group set brand fight back? Will Shimano finally go 13 speed, drop the wires and go fully wireless, adopt UDH, or even, dare I say it, release a power meter that actually works? In today's video, I'm breaking down everything we know and sharing my predictions for what's coming next in 2026. I definitely want to know what you think Shimano needs to do to stay on top. So drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Right, let's dive in. I think it's safe to assume that the next group set will definitely be fully wireless. It was semi-wireless with the last launch, so the brake levers, the shifters are wireless from the front and rear derailleur wired to an internal frame battery, which works, it works fine. But SRAM and now Campag are fully wireless, and while the benefits of wireless aren't all that much, there are reasons to go wireless, as in it's perceived to be more modern and therefore better. It's definitely better and easier when building it up, and it's nice to be able to remove the batteries on SRAM and just put them in the charging port and charge them separately from the bike and not have to trail the cable from where the charge port is to the rear derailleur on the current Di2 group sets. So removing that battery is kind of cool, although the runtime isn't as generous as the internal frame battery. But we've seen a lot of aero skinny frames like the Tarmac S8 and the Super 6 Evo. Because the battery is too fat to go in these super skinny seat posts, it's now going inside the belly of the frame, so in the seat tube or in the down tube via the bottom bracket, which keeps the weight low, but can be tricky to get to if you need to maintain that battery, replace it, it fails, getting to it is a bit trickier, and it's still the same issue of charging, having that charge cable routing around your house or shared garage into the rear derailleur. So yeah, pros and cons to wireless, but given they've launched wireless on GRX and XTR, they have the technology now with that interchangeable battery, I think it's safe to say that will happen. There is a question mark around whether they can navigate the SRAM patent that Campag failed with their wireless group set to have the same size batteries on the front and rear derailleur, and whether they'll be different. That's a real question mark. If they're different size batteries, you have 2 charging ports, and that's a nightmare compared to the convenience, ease of use of SRAM, where the batteries are interchangeable. And the real benefit is, say the rear derailleur battery goes flat, you can just swap it with the front one and off you go. And that's another benefit of fully wireless with removable batteries for me. When you are doing long distance events, bike packing rides, you can have a spare battery or 2 in your bag and just swap it out when you need, and you can't do that with Shimano. You can't swap out that frame battery easily at all. You need a charge cable and a battery power bank to charge it. So yeah, there are benefits to wireless, but there are plenty of reasons not to like wireless. Of course, actual usability, functionality of wireless compared to wired, there's nothing in it. Shift speed, it's about the same, but there are some benefits for sure. Will the new group set be 13 speed? Well, possibly, because Campag have rolled out a 13 speed 2x road group set and proved it works. Rotor do 13 speed as well, and SRAM do 1x13 in the gravel category, but not 2x13 on the road bike side yet, at the amount of time I reckon. So I think we could see Shimano go 13 speed, but personally, whenever I ride my bike with Ultegra 12 speed on it, I'm never wishing I had an extra sprocket out back. I never feel the lack of a sprocket. But then, given that desire for a smooth cadence progression on a cassette, especially as cassettes are getting bigger, 1130, 1134, just smoothing out some of the gaps in between would be no bad thing. And if you can do as SRAM did with Explore, have the same spacing as on 12 and use a 12-speed chain, so the spacing isn't narrow and the chain isn't narrow, so you have that same durability and reliability as a 12-speed, but with new 13-speed, then it could be a win-win. And if that new 13-speed cassette used the current micro-spline free-hub body, which is readily available, I don't think too many people will be opposed to it. But They would certainly be opposed to a move to a 10-2 sprocket, or even 9, but most likely 10 because they have a 10-2 sprocket on their 1051 mountain bike and gravel cassettes, which is compatible with microspline. So that's the most obvious choice because it's there, it's proven, it works. So 13 speed, I think, is a safe bet, and a 10-2 starting sprocket. They might still retain 1130, 1134, but offer 1030 or 1034 as an option as well for more range, but keep that 1130 maybe for people who want that classic setup. Who knows? Ergonomics. And Shimano ergonomics are fantastic. They have been some of the best on the market for a long time. Very small, compact, smooth hoods, nice brake lever shape, good size, reach, and way better than the original Shimano disc brake hoods that came out many years ago. Remember those big chunky things? They weren't so good, but now they are really nice. But when I use SRAM, the latest SRAM hoods, so Force, Rival, and Red, I do think SRAM have pulled ahead in the ergonomic game. Slightly longer along the top, so more space for your hands to sit on outside the knob. And then the brake levers are super light and way lighter than Shimano. And there's more space between the levers and the bars for your fingers if you're one finger braking. And that lightness of brake lever action just makes the experience of holding those hoods, using those hoods and operating those hoods on SRAM much nicer than Shimano. So I think there's room for improvement. Not copying SRAM, but doing something along similar lines to just create a nicer, more ergonomic place for your hands. Because let's be honest, most people ride road bikes predominantly 99% of the time on the hoods, and that's where you spend most of the time. So having super ergonomic hoods would be, or improved ergonomic hoods would be a nice thing. Not saying Shimano are uncomfortable, because they're not, but I think SRAM are nicer, personally. That's my personal thoughts. SRAM brakes, in terms of power, outright stopping power, I think they're pretty much on a par, but it's the way that braking is delivered and actuated is nicer with SRAM. But one improvement I would love to see is to copy SRAM's wireless blips. So you can have blips on the tops, on the drops, to give you more options for changing gear when you're not on the hoods. You can have remote shifters with Dura-Ace and Ultegra, not 105, but they're wired into the wireless shifters, which is a bit crazy. So having some sort of wireless remote blip shifter system would be kind of cool, just to give you more flexibility for where you shift gear on a bike. Something, a feature, even with SRAM, that most people don't make use of, but it's one of its hidden tricks up a sleeve sort of thing. Since we're talking next generation technology, let's talk about next generation websites with today's sponsor, Squarespace. And let me show you how easy it really is. Squarespace offers two easy ways to build your new website. Either start with a template and then customize with a drag and drop interface, or let AI do all the hard work by simply answering a few easy questions to generate a bespoke website. Personalizing the website for your own needs is a piece of cake as well, and there are plugins and tools for every business need. From running an online store, managing newsletters, running memberships and donations, turning your photos and videos into blog or portfolio, the options are endless. And for added peace of mind, there's 24/7 support as well for your brand new website. So head to Squarespace now, start a free trial with a link down below, and if you enjoyed, I'm sure you will do, there's 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain name with my special code on screen right now. Right, back to what Shimano might launch next year. One area where Shimano could and probably need to respond to SRAM is how the rear derailleur is mounted to the frame. With lots of frame manufacturers embracing UDH and SRAM rolling out their Explore 1x13 gravel group set with an all-new rear derailleur that's mounted directly to the frame. It creates a strong interface and does away with a weak link that is the mech hanger. They haven't done that yet on the road side, but I think it's only a matter of time. And in a pattern unearthed recently, it does look like Shimano could copy SRAM, but in the opposite way around. With full mount, there's sort of two prongs that go from the rear derailleur around the rear dropout and clamp it in place. But with Shimano, it could be the opposite way around, with sort of two prongs coming away from the frame, inside the frame, drop out, and going around the rear derailleur. So creating a nice, strong interface. That's how the pattern suggests that it may work. So they're sort of version of UDH and full mount, trying to achieve the same thing of having a much stronger interface between the rear derailleur and the frame. And that improvement in that structural rigidity does allow for more precision when lining up the rear derailleur with the cassette for more reliable shifting under load. So that's something we could see from Shimano, a version of UDH, similar aim, but achieved in a different way. And of course, hopefully it's compatible with older frames that aren't UDH as well. Onto power meters, and it's fair to say Shimano doesn't have a great track record with a high quality, reliable power meter. They have a power meter on Dura-Ace and Ultegra, none on 105, but it hasn't been that well received. The pros do use it, Mattia van der Poel, Tadej Pogacar, but the reviews out there by average journalists, I never tried it properly myself because very few bikes come spec with it, is that it's not reliable and not a patch on what SRAM is doing with its power meters. And SRAM has been much more aggressive in rolling out power meters across the board, both on red, where they have a high quality dual side power meter, and even down to Rival, you can get a single side crank based power meter for like 250 quid, and it's reliable and it works, and it really has been a sort of death blow for all the aftermarket power meters there used to be, like Stages and 4i over the years. And Specialized often use 4i power meters rather than their own power meters as well. So it'd be great to see Shimano finally deliver a good power meter, dual-sided, left side only, at low price points for 105, but also at high quality Dura-Ace level power meter it needs to be. But there are patterns that suggest they might actually be doing power meter pedals. And this for me is really exciting, as I actually prefer a power meter pedal. My go-to pedal is the Wahoo PowerLink, so a speed play based system. And those are my go-to because I can swap them from one bike to another bike so easily. Great for traveling on a hire bike, put them on your bike. And I would love to see a nice high quality Shimano power meter. We've seen that other companies can package all the strain gauges, that's a word, into the pedal body with very minimal sort of increase in bulk or weight. And that would be kind of cool to see Shimano come out with a new power meter for cranks and also a pedal-based system, because there are quite a few pedal-based systems on the market now. They're proving popular. I do think people like them. And that brings me on to cranks, and the Shimano cranks have had a bit of a bad time of the last few years with them separating, delaminating, the two hollow halves bonded together, coming apart. And they've basically been sued in America for that happening, and their response has been pretty shocking. They're not really owning up to it and issuing a recall, very reluctant to really own the problem. Hopefully that's behind them now, but given that Campag and SRAM both have carbon fiber cranks, and Shimano once dabbled with carbon cranks many years ago, but have stuck to alloy ever since, could we see a new crank design, one that really puts the issues of the past really behind them with a bold new design that's lighter and stiffer? Or could we see them embrace carbon fiber? I doubt it, to be honest. I don't think they'll do the carbon fiber thing. I think they love aluminium too much, but carbon fiber could be cool to see. I definitely think there'll be a new design to the crank, a new look. There's always a new look to cranks when they launch a new generation group set, sort of a key feature of the group set really on the side of the bike. So I think a new crankset design, but hopefully something that solves the issues of the past and gives people reassurance that it won't happen again. Lighter is always good, stiffer is always good too, and more chainset ratio options as well for us non-pros. And yeah, carbon fiber, I think there's a pretty low outside chance of that happening, but you never know. And finally, when could we see this potential new group set? Well, the safe bet is on the Tour de France. That's a shop window for the sport and when bikes and products are launched, and probably spotted at the Dauphiné warm-up race before the Tour de France. But these days, bike brands, bike companies launch products whenever they want, based usually, hopefully, on when the product's actually available. And hopefully Shimano learned the lesson from the last launch when it basically is launched and it wasn't available for like a year, partly due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So they could launch it anytime. Spring Classics, they might not do it around a race, they might do it separately when there's a spot or a space in the calendar to avoid other bike launches and clashes with other product announcements. So yeah, it could launch anytime next year, but the Tour de France is probably the safest bet. We'll have it on bikes or the pros at Tour de France, the likes of Tadej Pogacar, Matej Van der Poel on the new group set for Tour de France would be what the brand would love to see, I think. So those are my thoughts, predictions and speculations on what we might see from Shimano Dura-Ace and likely Ultegra in 105 in subsequent years, hopefully next year. Let me know what you think of my thoughts on this topic by dropping a comment down below. And if you want to see a review of the current Dura-Ace group set as it stands right now, then watch the video right up here. And stay tuned for more bold, outlandish, wide-of-the-mark predictions from other bike brands over the next few weeks.